Welcome to the deep dive. So, you're looking at the silver and gold space, maybe trying to find companies that seem a bit undervalued but have some real catalysts coming up.
Yeah, that's a common theme for investors right now.
Well, that's exactly why we're digging into GoGold Resources today. They're operating in Mexico silver and gold, doing exploration, development, and importantly, production. They seem to tick a lot of those boxes.
Exactly. And our goal here is to, really break down Go Gold for you. We'll look at their financials. Where do they stand right now?
Hmm.
What about their projects? Perel, the producing one, and Los Ricos, the big development play.
Right.
We'll touch on key metrics, potential catalysts, which you mentioned is important, and obviously the risks, always risks.
Always risks in mining, yeah. The idea is to give you the info to see if GoGold fits what you're looking for.
Precisely.
Okay, let's jump in. GoGold. They've been active for a while, but it feels like maybe they're hitting a sort of turning point. They've got Perel making money,
Right, generating cash flow.
and then Los Ricos, which looks like it could be a company maker if it pans out.
That's a really good summary. Perel is the engine right now, the producing line. Los Ricos is the big development project.
And Los Ricos isn't just one spot, is it?
No, it's a whole district. They split it into Los Ricos South, LRS, and Los Ricos North, LRN. They're about 25 kilometers apart down in Jalisco State.
Okay.
And the really eye-catching thing is the resource size they're talking about for the whole district. Back in September 2023, they put out numbers like 186 million silver equivalent ounces in measured and indicated,
Wow.
plus another 86 million ounces inferred. I mean, those are potentially very significant numbers for a silver district.
Yeah, that definitely gets your attention. And you said they're shifting focus there.
Seems that way. The emphasis is moving, from just exploring this big area to actually developing it, starting with Los Ricos South.
Which is a crucial step, right? Moving towards actually digging stuff up.
Absolutely. It means getting closer to potentially bringing a major new mine online.
Okay, so financials, how are they looking? Can they actually afford to, build this thing out? What did the latest numbers show?
Well, let's look at their Q2 2025 results. So that's up to March 31st this year. Perel brought in $17.6 million in revenue. Pretty solid.
Okay.
And net income was $3.357 million. That's quite a jump from the $1.152 million they made in the same quarter last year.
What drove that increase?
Mainly better production and profitability at Perel. Seems like they're running that operation more efficiently now.
That's good to see. Profitability is key. What about actual cash coming in? Crucial for funding development, like you said.
Right. Cash from operations was strong, $5.145 million for that quarter, and over $13 million year to date. Again, a big step up from 2024, thanks to Perel performing better.
And their overall cash position.
Their working capital looked healthy at $91.370 million as of March 31st. They feel that's enough for their upcoming activities. Plus, they also did a bought deal financing right after the quarter ended, April 4th.
Ah, okay, so they topped up the treasury too. Yeah.
Exactly. Strengthen the balance sheet further.
So near term, financially sound. What about the bigger picture, say, looking back at their last full fiscal year?
Looking back at fiscal 2023, ending September 30th, 2023, their total assets went up to about $302 million from $275 million the year before.
What was behind that?
A good chunk of that was the carrying value of Los Ricos increasing on their books, reflecting the value they're adding through exploration and definition.
Makes sense. Liabilities.
Liabilities actually went down a bit to around $21 million from $24 million. So assets up, liabilities down.
Good trend.
Yeah. Working capital was strong too, over $101 million compared to $77 million the year before. And they had a very healthy cash balance of $108 million at that point. So yeah, they seem to have managed their finances quite well.
Okay, so Perel's cash flow sounds like a real cornerstone for them right now. You mentioned something about a zinc circuit.
Yes, that's been a big deal for Perel. It's a tailings reprocessing operation, basically squeezing value out of old mine waste.
Right.
They added this zinc circuit to their SART plant. Commissioning finished around March 2024.
And SART stands for?
Sulfidization, acidification, recycling, and thickening. It's a process technology.
Got it. So what does this zinc circuit do for them?
Several things. One, it produces a zinc concentrate they can sell. That's new revenue.
Okay.
Two, it regenerates cyanide, which is a key chemical used to leach out the gold and silver. Recycling it saves costs and is better environmentally.
Ah, clever.
And third, it seems to actually improve the gold and silver recovery too. So it's really been a significant upgrade for Perel.
So more efficient, more revenue streams makes sense why the cash flow improved. What kind of production did Peral do last year?
In 2024, it produced 1.5 million silver equivalent ounces. So a meaningful contribution.
Okay, so Peral is the steady hand. Now let's really dive into Los Ricos, starting with the south part, LRS. Where are they at with that?
LRS is definitely further along. They filed an updated PEA preliminary economic assessment back in September 2023. That's the first major look at potential economics.
Right, the initial study.
Yeah, done by P&E Mining Consultants. It outlines a plan using pretty standard processing methods. Crushing, grinding, cyanide leaching.
Similar to Pearl.
Similar ideas, yeah. And like Peril, they plan to include a SART circuit, but this time to produce a copper sulfide product, as well as regenerating cyanide. They've also got water sorted out from a nearby dam and access to grid power. Big logistical hurdles already cleared.
That's huge. Saves a lot of headaches and costs. What about the cost to actually build LRS, that initial price tag?
The PEA estimated the total life of mine capital at around $288 million US. The initial chunk, the upfront capital to get started, is estimated at $148 million.
Okay, that's a significant number, but the cash flow from Pearl helps.
It certainly helps support it, yeah. The $288 million also includes an expansion plan for year 3 and ongoing sustaining capital.
And how solid are the resource numbers underpinning this plan at LRS?
Well, the resource estimate uses standard industry methods, looking at drill hole data. They've identified several deposits within LRS names like Grand Central, East, South, Colorado, Maloa Eagle.
Right.
But importantly, they've moved beyond just resources to reserves at LRS as of January this year, 2025.
Okay, reserves mean higher confidence, economically mineable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Much higher degree of confidence. They've defined proven and probable reserves, mostly underground, about 7.5 million tons at a pretty high silver equivalent grade, 326 grams per ton. That's nearly 79 million silver equivalent ounces.
That's a lot of silver.
It is. And there's a smaller open pit reserve, too, adding almost another 12 million ounces. So the total proven and probable reserves for LRS are just over 10 million tons, grading 275 grams per ton silver equivalent. That comes out to about 90.7 million silver equivalent ounces in reserves.
90 million ounces just in reserves at LRS. That's substantial.
It really positions Los Ricos South as a potentially major asset, yes.
And you mentioned they moved beyond the PEA.
Correct. Yeah, big step. They filed a definitive feasibility study, an FS for LRS, at the end of February 2025.
Okay, feasibility study. That's the really detailed engineering and economic assessment, the one banks often want to see before lending money.
Precisely. It's much more rigorous, gives a much higher level of confidence than a PEA. It's based on a refined mine plan, focusing on a 2,000 ton per day underground mine, and includes updated resource numbers. It's really the blueprint for building the mine.
So LRS is looking pretty advanced, heading towards a development decision. What about the other part, Los Ricos North, LRN?
LRN is earlier stage. They put out an initial resource estimate in late 2021 and a PEA in May 2023.
Still exploration and initial study phase, then?
Pretty much. It's got different types of mineralization, some oxide silver gold near surface, and then deeper silver base metal sulfide stuff, particularly a zone called El Arito.
Okay.
The reports detail the resources they outlined so far in places like El Favor, Casados, La Trini,
Yep.
but it's definitely behind LRS in terms of development progress.
So LRS is the clear focus for now, but LRN provides that longer-term potential, maybe another future mine.
That's likely how they see it. Build LRS first, then maybe turn attention to developing LRN down the road. It adds to the overall district potential.
Right, optionality. Okay, let's switch gears to valuation metrics. Market cap, you mentioned, was around CAD 722 million recently. What about NAV, net asset value?
Yeah, the sources we looked at don't give a specific NAV figure. Calculating NAV involves making assumptions about future metal prices, costs, discount rates. It's complex.
Sure, analysts will build their own models.
Exactly. But the resource numbers and the economic results from the LRS feasibility study and the LRN PEA, that's the raw data analysts would use to build those NAV models. So while we don't have a number, the building blocks are there.
Got it. So we can't calculate a market cap NAV ratio right now. What about operating costs at the current mine, Peril?
Okay, for Q2 2025, their adjusted cash cost at Peril was $17.85 per silver equivalent ounce, or SEO.
And the all-in sustaining cost, AISC.
AISC was $22.58 per SEO for the same period. AISC includes more things, like the capital needed to keep the mine running.
Right. So $17.85 cash costs, $22.58 all-in sustaining. How does that stack up?
With current silver prices, those seem like reasonably healthy margins they're generating from peril. It underscores how that zinc circuit is helping keep costs manageable.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, for the part you highlighted, catalysts, things that could potentially move the needle for the stock, what are the big ones for GoGold?
Number one, and probably the most watched right now, is getting the main environmental permit for Los Ricos South. The MIA, it's called in Mexico.
That's the big government green light to build.
Essentially, yes. It's crucial. The CEO actually said in an interview around early May 2025 that they were hoping to get it in the next 30 to 90 days.
Okay, so potentially quite soon. That would be huge.
Absolutely. That's a major de-risking event. If you're looking for near-term catalysts, that's probably top of the list.
What else?
Well, after the permit comes the formal decision by GoGold's board to actually build the mine, a positive construction decision.
Based on that feasibility study.
Correct. And the fact they're already doing some early works power lines, water dams suggest they're leaning that way. But the official announcement would still be a catalyst.
Right. Signals commitment. Anything else?
Don't forget the exploration upside. They have a massive land package at Los Ricos, 45 concessions now, up from 26 just a few years ago.
Still finding more.
The potential is definitely there. Successful drilling results keep adding value and could expand the resource base even further. And finally, just continued strong performance from Perel.
Yeah, the cash flow engine.
Right. If Perel keeps churning out cash, thanks to that zinc circuit, it reduces the need for potentially dilutive financing to build LRS. That financial strength itself can be seen positively by the market.
So permitting, construction decision, exploration, and solid cash flow. Lots to watch. But we have to talk risks. What should you be aware of?
Definitely. Permitting is a catalyst, but permit delays are a risk. Timelines can slip, especially with environmental approvals. That's number one.
Okay, what else?
Then there's just the sheer challenge of building a mine. Development risk, things like potential cost overruns, construction taking longer than planned, maybe hiccups during the ramp-up phase. It's complex.
Standard mining project risks, yeah.
Absolutely. And commodity prices, always a factor. Silver and gold prices go up and down, and that directly impacts the project's economics. A sharp drop could make things look less attractive.
Sensitivity to prices.
For sure. They also face foreign exchange risk, operating in Mexican pesos, but often reporting in Canadian or U.S. dollars. Currency swings matter. There's also some credit risk mentioned, mainly around getting VAT refunds back from the government in Mexico. Sometimes the timing on that can be uncertain.
Bureaucracy.
You could say that. And finally, remember that resource and reserve estimates are just that, estimates. They have degrees of uncertainty, and they can change with more drilling or new interpretations.
Good points. Risk is part of the equation. One last thing investors often ask about, analyst coverage. Any indication from the sources?
The specific reports we looked at didn't list analyst ratings or price targets, but they did mention some big institutional holders, Van Eck, Franklin Templeton, Sprott Asset Management. These are well-known resource-focused funds.
So if the big funds are in,
It strongly suggests there is analyst coverage. Those institutions usually rely on professional analysis. So while we don't have the specific reports, the ownership implies analysts are indeed following GoGold.
okay, that makes sense. So let's try and wrap this up. What are the key takeaways for someone listening thinking about GoGold in terms of silver gold exposure, potential value, and catalysts?
Well, I think GoGold presents a pretty interesting story. You've got the Peril mine, which is working, it's generating cash now, especially with the zinc circuit improvements.
Yeah.
That provides a solid base.
De-risks things a bit.
Exactly. And then you have the huge potential of Los Ricos, especially LRS, which has passed the feasibility stage, has significant reserve defined, and seems to be moving steadily towards development.
With that environmental permit as the next big hurdle.
Right. That permit and the subsequent construction decision are the really obvious near-term potential catalysts you'd be watching for.
But balanced against the risks we discussed.
Always permitting timing, the actual execution of building the mine, and where silver and gold prices go, those are the key risks to keep in mind.
Okay. And just a reminder for everyone listening, this conversation is based on the info we had from the sources as of May 7th, 2025. Things can change fast in this sector.
Definitely. Always do your own current research. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. We've talked about GoGold's internal strengths, the cash flow from Perel, the potential at Los Ricos. How might external factors like, say, a big surge in industrial demand for silver, or maybe renewed investor interest pushing gold higher? How might those macro trends interact with GoGold's specific story as they try to transition into a much larger producer?
Interesting angle. How macro trends could amplify or complicate their growth plans. Something to chew on. Okay. And finally, the necessary disclaimer.
Right. This was just for information. It's not investment advice.
Please do your own research. Talk to a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive.